And frankly, and I wanted to say it in Mr. Flood's face, not just in print, but there is a gross conflict of interest here. From what I know, I'm willing to be stand corrected. From what I understand, from people familiar with the hiring process, the job eventually filled by Ken Flood, the person in charge of that job search and responsible for hiring Mr. Flood was David Ginsberg in his role as the president of CEDC. I have that from sources I have known for years, who have no reason to doubt their word. If it's incorrect, let me know. But I think at minimum, Mr. Flood, rather than being the principal cheerleader of this project, should have recused himself from the study. There are other conflicts. Mr. Crawford, for instance, who works for Ginsberg and also has been a cheerleader for this project. Some of these, again, that's the CEDC board. But Mr. Flood covers all of the, covers county economic development, covers the IDA, covers CEDC. This is a real problem, both in terms of perception and legally as far as these boards' conflict of interest policies. And I don't think the IDA should keep digging this hole deeper, because the more you look into it, the more of these types of conflicts you encounter. Thank you very much.
Anybody else been spoken yet?
I'd like to make it, if I may.
Sure. Forget you. Okay. Anybody who hasn't spoken yet? Mike?
Mike Benvenuto, I'm the Gentown supervisor. Be very brief. I just wanted to reiterate what's already been said, but I am very disappointed that the IDA board members are not here today. I mean, it would be like the town of Kent holding a public hearing and, you know, councilmen not showing up. It just doesn't make sense to me, so I just wanted to go on record for that. Thank you.
Okay.
Jim McAver, resident, Town Culver, member of the IDA board. I am present here today.
Jim Macker. Anybody else hasn't spoken yet?
Hi, Cecile Harrison, Favra. I just wanted to say that if the intention of this meeting is to gather public comment, it really should be held at a time the majority of the public isn't at work. Should I say that again?
Sorry about that.
So I think that I'd like to propose in my comments to the IDA board that another public hearing be held at a more reasonable time to actually get the public's comment. And again, I echo the comments in the room, and I understand there is one person here from the IDA, but I should be at work, and that's probably where they are, and I find that insulting. And secondly, there was a comment put in the notice about this meeting, I think it was a comment by Mr. Flood, that this land is no big deal to, give it to Ginsberg's, or give the IDA help to Ginsberg's, because this land has not brought in any revenue. And if you look at the broader scope from an economic perspective, I don't think you can really say that. I think this land brings in a lot of revenue, and the perspective I'm looking at is kind of an opportunity cost of what we're going to lose. And one of the things that Columbia County attracts economically is a huge amount of people from the city who want to see or get a weekend of rural life, farmscape views, and beautiful vistas. And if you go out and look at that red balloon out there, you're going to see incredible loss, unbelievable loss. And those people drive up here regularly to patronize all of our small businesses. And I think that the IDA should really consider, and this was in the notes too for this meeting, when you speak about location, that's the wrong location. There must be other industrial areas in Columbia County that they could relocate to, but the economic loss will be forever and it will be immeasurable if we go ahead and support this project. And when you get magazines, major national magazines commenting Hudson Valley as the new Napa Valley of the East, it does not make sense to proceed in destroying a vista like that for our future. and a part of the future small businesses, you know, restaurants, the hotels, the B&Bs, you know, and all the little businesses that attract weekenders and also attract residents who want to buy a piece of land in the country. Thank you.
Anybody else who hasn't spoken yet? Third and back.
Ron Cars, resident of Columbia. As
She didn't get it.
Ron Cardis, C-A-R-D-I-S, a resident of Columbia. I think we all can remember through our schooling that the word democracy and what democracy was told us to be. It was the will of the majority. I'll come back to that in a minute. Bringing this around from what I've heard today, and I mistakenly reported in a communication that I put out on the email that the property was purchased from the Riley estate because the estate was running out of money and needed some mandated expense money to continue the estate that was fully probate. I posted that at $167,000. I can't correct it for the year. From the date he acquiring was $109,000. So $109,000 the county purchased. At the time they purchased it, it was very productive agricultural property. It had both hay field and or corn 5 to 11 years. How do I know? I hunted the property weekly, and I could see it every day. I can still see it. $109,000 we left on that property for 20 years and left it unproductive. 20 more years. In the fiduciary responsibility of the county. Now, it collected no tax base for 20 years, which meant it jeopardized our school systems, and it jeopardized more so the residents of those school systems and the county because those taxes had to come from someplace. 20 years of lost taxes. And all of a sudden, we had this ultimate, God, we've got to do something with this to get it back on the tax rolls and make it redundant. But then we find out now that we're going to spend a couple of $1 million and keep it off the tax rolls for a minimum of another 7 years. Another fiduciary responsibility of the leadership of the county to its residents and taxpayers. I continue to see narratives. Then we go a little farther. We hear mixed statements about it was inherited. We know it's not inherited. We found that out today for sure. Then the statement was acquired by the IDA CDC. Mr. Flood's here. He's the one who put it in the paper and never contradicted it in the paper if it wasn't true. He blinked his eyes before, like, prove, what did it mean? Well, it means a lot. And I want you to know that. Democracy, huh? Democracy led for the benefit of the majority. And in a democracy, no matter how good the rules are thought out and in the Constitution, we find there are always those unusual examples that seem to hurt that minority group. Well, the room appears to have the majority here today. I don't think that can be denied. If you want to, poll. Because I think the opposition is here. But yet today it represents the majority, doesn't it? The majority of people who are concerned about this have a procedural required call meeting. If you're going to make a decision on the Constitution, what the majority means, democracy of this country means, there's your majority. There's your decision. And now we're going to go one step farther. I read in Mr. Flood's communique that in one part of it, the first phase will complete in 3 years. It'll meet the growth in 2007. Kind of confusing to me because how does 3 years of construction meet the growth of the company in the year 2017? It's under construction. It can't do anything from that time. In fact, it's an expenditure. It's an outlay of their capital. But then I look a little farther and I understand not only are we going to do the construction of this piece of property with a very very comfortable manipulating projected amounts of money for the company. But we're gonna renovate the existing building, which has a current piling on it. Renovate it. Well, if there's such a need for space and conditioning to land yourself on a new piece of property operating on an efficient building, why does the business plan take 10 years when your need is so great? Why is it that you gotta renovate a building when you should be putting your capital into the building that's going on? I don't understand the complexity of all this. There's something missing here that I don't understand. I'm not the smartest or the sharpest knife in the drawer, I'll tell you that. But as a result of this, your majority is standing in front of you. If you're going to make decisions based on what the Constitution and market of this country is, you have no choice but to deny this. Thank you.
Back there.
Just a brief statement. Richard Harrison.
Come up a little closer.
What?
Come up closer so I can hear you.
We own a farm close to the project. Just a brief statement that we pay probably $35,000 in property taxes because we own property and the farm itself. I just want to say that I really disagree with my tax money being spent.
Can you tell us your name again? It's not-
Oh, Richard Harrison.
Thank you. Somebody in the back there that hadn't spoken. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Mary Koch, and I have a small business, and I'm really not used to talking at things like this, but my business tends to be eco-friendly, so I go to a lot of meetings in the area, and there's groups like the Linwood, and there's other groups that do a lot of studies on the tourism, agro-businesses, restaurateurs, and this little network that intertwines itself all the time. And they are finding that the direction of the Hudson Valley is more in a major economy in that way. And agritourism, tourism in general, and eco-sustainable community work is where they want to invest their money. And I kind of think we should save the money for a while because I think the modern thinking, and my kid is in Future Farmers of America, and they're all about promoting small farms and having small systems for distributing food, and not this major, humongous building that's going to bring in a lot of trucks. And every time we drive out of our driveways, nobody ever considers the traffic. Nobody ever considers the drawbacks it's going to be to the small people. And once again, I think that these organizations are people we should take a look at because they're trying to benefit the small farmer. And if Ginsberg even bought 1% of their food from the small farmers around here and could make their building a little smaller and a little greener and a little more future-oriented to what the county might need, I would consider thinking about it. But at this point, it just sounds like kind of a big takeover thing and not a benefit to anyone living around here.
See if there's anybody else who hasn't spoken yet.
I just have a question in terms of what the procedure is. Has this land been purchased yet?
The land is owned by CDC at the moment.
So there's been no transaction?
I think, I'm aware that there's a contract between CDC and Ginsberg's, but I'm not sure that it has been completed yet.
So as far as you're concerned, I mean, as far as you know, as far as you're saying, it hasn't been purchased. The reason I ask
It
is,
hasn't been completed.
well, completed or it hasn't been purchased. I mean, could it be safe to assume that it hasn't been completed, it hasn't been purchased? I mean, is that a safe assumption? The reason I ask is that I would address the board and make a proposal to buy the land myself and use it.
The IDA board is really.
Here, I'll
Yeah.
try to get out.
And I'll ask the board for a lot less money. I'll ask them for $10,000 and I'll set up a business and I'll employ 21 people.
What are you bidding for the property?
I'll
$2?
No, I'll be generous, I'll do 100. And then I will ask my neighbors to see if they will also chip in 100.
I'll
And
chip
I
in.
suspect if we get all our neighbors together, we will far surpass, and I will also set up an interviewing process. I'm a lighting designer, I need people to make my lighting. I probably will pay them more money than Ginsberg.
But will you pay taxes?
I will pay, wait a minute, I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. Thank you. And I want the audience to respond if they want to.
I bid $101.
The purpose of the public meeting is this body with this smug person here making eye contact with Ginsberg every time something is said, and Ginsberg photographing people who are talking.
You get me excited, I'm gonna bid.
All right, so I
myself.
want you to, I want you to get rid of your damn pictures that you're taking of people.
You
All
don't have
right?
my
Now, I want to
permission.
get back to what's in here. I will pay $20 plus for employees to work and do my lighting. I will pay $100 for the land, and I will ask $10,000 for help.
I second that.
Can we get it on record to see if people here will back me on doing it?
No,
Why not?
because that's not the purpose of the public.
What's the purpose of the public meeting?
Then we should have a
Hear from the
meeting that
public.
will suit our purposes, Christian.
No, this is the meeting. The
Ma'am.
This is-
majority is here.
Next- next
It
speaker.
willed itself.
Without getting into this very deeply, we have someone very involved in this enormous deal that continually says they reside in beautiful Columbia County, they use all the produce from Columbia County, and can't say enough how wonderful Columbia County is, but yet is coming to you or us for money. And I think we all know who I'm talking about. I think we all know who I'm talking about. A lucrative career, and then come to us because we're going to pay this money. And use Columbia County as a, I live in Columbia County, and I do all of my dealings in Columbia County. We know which partner I'm talking about. But yet, come to us and ruin this beautiful piece of ground. Does that make sense? No.
Anybody else? Jeff?
Yeah, I'd just like to amend my comments earlier. I wasn't aware of the CEDC deal with Tierra Farms. I didn't realize that there was a public debt market here in Columbia County, but since there clearly is, may I suggest you do this deal with Ginsberg's, and we take back the same 10%. But rather than 10% on the note, since it's a growing company that actually doesn't need our help, I think we should take 10% of their gross. We need an audit right, and that investment should last the term of the pilot, and it should be inversely proportional. So if you're paying 0% taxes in the first year, then you should pay maybe 40% of your gross. And as that tax burden increases, then the top line percentage that the taxpayers get back on their investment in this company is reduced until eventually it hits zero. That's a very generous offer, because in the real marketplace, the county would get warrants, and we'd own a piece of that business. That's how the marketplace works. Why is Ginsberg's coming to you? Because you're cheap money. Because you're not your money, you're our money. If you really want to do this deal, make it a deal. Make it work for everybody in the county, not just 3 people. You're using everybody's money, make it work for everybody. Make it an investment, not a gift. Get our return. That's fair. Everything else is a breach of your fiduciary duty, absolutely. And this inside baseball disgusts people. I got to go back to work.
He has to work so he can pay his taxes.
Yes, I'm Sarah Sterling. I'm a Columbia County Supervisor from Hudson. I'm on the board of the CDC, and I've also attended most of the meetings of the Columbia County IDA. I just want to say on record that this is the first time I've heard that the property was not given. I was part of the vote to sell the property for $1, and I was not notified before that CDC had actually paid for the property. The other thing, I've attended a lot of IDA hearings for Mr. Singh over there, Route 66, and I'm not sure if there was a hearing on that yet, but there was a application for a pilot, and also the Coles was coming in, and all of that, and I usually hear some kind of economic necessity on Coles, which was turned down, and there's, people come and say, well, we can't buy, there's no place to buy scissors in the county. And there's plenty of places to buy scissors, but you have to have some need. And I'm not seeing, there hasn't been presented an economic need here, any needs I've been to. So I would like to see some documentation about that there is the economic need. And I thought that it was, so I guess that's it. Thank you.
Turn that.
Just very quickly. Mr. Governor, you're counsel for the board, is that correct?
For the IDA
Right,
board.
right. I'm kind of curious to know if the director is paid in this position, I believe he is, and why he is not chairing the meeting. And since he's not chairing the meeting, I'd like to hear what he has to say about this.
It's customary for,
No, it's not customary as a council chairman of the board.
I've done it in the past.
I know you have.
times. Just,
But I've been to lots of different boards and it's not customary. Okay, I'll accept the role of the board.
that,
Is this going to be the only, Mark Johnson, is this going to be the only time the public has to speak? You guys are going to listen to us, or are you going to go back to your board and give the public another chance, maybe address more of you at one time, or is this it? Because I just wanted to know if I have to speak up.
I believe there's going to be another public hearing in Clogger. It hasn't been scheduled yet at this point, so I think there will be another hearing on this matter.
So as counsel, will you recommend to those people? See, it's all about perception. You know, you guys want to be perceived as straightforward and out in front. Don't not show up when the public shows up, make special time. I have a business. I work from home on the computer all day. And I came out here, you know, it's just simple respect, just for the public, you know, that the board would be there. I don't know, I just looked you guys all up on Google because I didn't know much about IDA. I'm usually, as you know, I was ignorant in the past when I was in county stuff about TCI, and then I became educated. But just what I recently read off your website, you know, and as a businessman, this is kind of strange. You guys, until I Googled IDA, I was not familiar with you at all. I just read you help big businesses all the way down to daycare business. This is in your website, okay, all the way down to daycare businesses. Yet you prefer to do only deals worth $1 million to $10 million with big businesses. That's what it says in your website, which seems kind of asinine to me, because what these people have said about how many businesses, small businesses actually, small businesses actually create compared to one big business. You know, so it seemed like you think about supporting more small businesses and smaller ones, because we don't need a lot. I know right now I'm looking for like 125 grand to grow my business, but it's a startup and it's hard to get financing, so I need independent support. But that's besides the point, because one of the facts that hundreds of businesses can create jobs, and those businesses you guys collect taxes on. So it's kind of like a win-win if we help small businesses and collect taxes on, than one big business investing. I'm just thinking as an investor, as you guys are investing in businesses in Columbia County, that you want to invest in more business that generate more tax revenue quicker, which means we can help our schools, relieve people who own houses in our county, and stuff like that. I have nothing against Ginsberg's whatsoever. I think it's kind of sad that big business might feel they had to do what they had to just to get to where they are with this process. You know, it's not easy to compete not against our biggest competitor, employer in the community is a nonprofit organization, the hospital. It's tough for big businesses to compete against nonprofit. I know it's tough for small businesses to compete against nonprofit agencies that get money from outside sources and don't have to pay taxes on it back to the community. So I can understand big business doing what they feel they have to do. Ginsberg's a local, small, big business. But I think you guys should think about supporting smaller businesses and startups and people of that nature, and maybe we'll get a better return on our investment.
Yeah, but you don't have a backdoor leverage.
I'm just trying to make a point, that's all.
Thank you.
What is, the meeting you're gonna do in Columbia, can we get some commitment that that will be done in an hour that people can come? And that everyone will be, and at the meeting, that everyone on the board will be there? And number two, what is the budget that you guys will do? What is your overall aggregate amount that you're able to spend?
Well, on the first question, I mean, I can't, your comments will definitely be considered, and your point is received. I'm not sure what you mean on the second issue. There is a budget that the IDA has, which is public record. It's published with the ADA Office of Budget Authority.
What is it?
I don't have it.
Do you have any idea? Is it $1 million? $50?
No. The IDA has very little money. We don't have the financials.
So where does the money come from? Can I go?
If you give me I'll get you a copy of that budget if you give me the contact. Ma'am?
At the August 25th CDC meeting, I was at